Awesome. So let's begin. First of all, thank you so much for being here and coming to support our designing environmental and social impact students. We are very excited that you are all here, and I'd like to just give you the formal welcome into the Sasaki Foundation and Sasaki. So we are a small nonprofit housed within this amazing firm right in the middle of downtown. So today we're going to be seeing all of the work that our students have been doing for the past few months. They've been working with mentors, with teaching assistants. They've been going to site visits and exploring really all the possibilities that the world of design has for them. So just a quick explanation of what DESI is. The Designing Environmental and Social Impact Internship is a paid internship that brings in high school students from Boston and the greater Boston area to explore social and environmental issues within their communities and to learn about design and create a design solution that they think would work for their community. So it's been a really incredible experience. We've seen people grow so much, and we're just very excited. So we're gonna just show the order so you're aware, just in case mentors or may need to go take a call or something, so you know where your mentee is. This is the order. And we're going to get started with, wait just a moment, with Rihanna.
Good afternoon, everyone. Over the past few months here at DESI, I've been working on a design in my neighborhood, Mattapan. So here I'll be reimagining Mattahunt Green Space for community development. So my name is Rihanna Gray, and I'm a junior at Boston Line Academy. My family immigrated to Boston from Jamaica, and I've been living in the Mattapan neighborhood. I became interested in architecture after playing building games as a child. So my site is the area besides Mattahunt Elementary School and Community Center. There's a marsh area nearby. So why I chose this site? I chose this site because I used to work at the Mattahunt Community Center, and having frequently visited this community center, I've noticed like the potential of this open area right here that people from the community center and like around the neighborhood could use. The space is plentiful and it allows for like a lot of design to be made there. So some site analysis is that there's a graveyard nearby my site, there's the Courier Woods, there's the garden, a park, and reserved marshland behind my site. So here's my site in a closer perspective. There's the park, the center, and the school. There's housing and like a fire and miracles ministry and the Jean Silva family childcare. So in order to understand like the components that I should develop in my site, I created a survey for the community to like answer and like hear their thoughts of what should be implemented into my site. So the most common things were using the site for a garden, teen centers, safe hangout areas, and quiet space. I developed the problem statement from my community engagement that Mattapan is a neighborhood that lacks areas for gathering, safe socialization outdoors. And since there's limited green space and places for residents to gather, adolescents in particular do not have the opportunity to frequently hang out. This can be resolved with the addition of a community garden, which would be an outdoor extension of the community center. As a learning designer, I believe that it would be beneficial to bring the activities often done indoors into outdoor spaces. So here's my proposed design. So this is a key of like how to walk through the site, starting off with the side entrance where people from the community center can easily walk through my site and then onto. So starting off, you will walk into a welcoming placard. This is what this is like a design that I believe can be used. So moving on downward, you'll be you'll come into like the walkthrough for the cubicles. So here I imagine a lady could be standing next to the fountain with her dog, and the fountain will have a green barrier. There'll be concrete pillars and a glass roof. So here's an example of the cubicle space being used. This cubicle is made with wooden planks, which is really great because it allows for visibility throughout the site. So even though that you're in like a enclosed space, you still feel like you're in the outside. The cubicle has a slanted roof to combat the challenges of like environmental disruptions like snow, which happens in Boston. Next off is my design for garden planter bed space. So here you could see like part of it being used to grow flowers. We have like a part being used for vegetables and other wild grown plants. So next off, we have the open pavilion. So this is like a space that children from the Mata Hunt and like anyone in general can use to like climb upon blocks. It's sort of like a mini playground, but it's more like composed into like one little wall section. Behind it is a place where older seniors and anyone could like chat or play chess and other games. This area also combats issues that I had before of like it being safe for children because there's like rubber, plastic on the bottom. Next up is a design that I have for a stage. So the Meta Hunt already has a stage inside of it, but I wanted to give the opportunity for people to perform, children to perform, other musician presenters to have the opportunity to perform outside in the site. So here you could see more closely how it would look. I would like encourage the Mata Hunt community to like find people that could design a mural painting that would integrate African and Caribbean culture. Last but not least is the multi-use pavilion. So Meta Hunt has been having the issue of like not having space for people to do activities such as yoga and meditation. So you could see in this like area, people have that space to do it outdoors. It's also connected to a more larger pavilion, which can be used for like chatting and just sitting around and having like community events. So here is the pavilion space, like a demonstration of it being used. We could see like people just enjoying a nice yoga session. So in conclusion, my design will promote care towards the outdoors, create better security, allow for more use of public space, engage individuals towards learning about the environment and ways to manage a garden. And at last, it will encourage socialization for everyone, especially teens and adolescents. Thank you. Any questions?
Hi, how are you? A wonderful presentation. Thank you. My name is Fatima Ali Salam. I happen to be the chair for the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council. So I know this site very well. I grew up probably 2 streets over, actually, from what you're talking about. So could you go back to the screen that had, I think, the school? I think it was more in the beginning. You were trying to give us a sense of location. Right there. Okay. So there's the Metahunt School and there's the community center. And as you said, there was Metahunt ones and there's Metahunt 1, 2, and 3. So the nice thing I think that you did show was that that is a completely open area. And there is a need to, if you have any ideas about how you would connect from Livermore Street and Hebron Street, right? Because Hebron is a one-way. And when you're coming down, there's a lot of traffic on Livermore, both directions. So how do you imagine that people would be getting to the site without impending on the Pendergrass Preventorium, which is actually conservation land? but getting in and out of that area with discouraging cars, of course. But how do you imagine that people would get to that part of the site? Thank you.
So I imagine that people could get to that part of the site. Well, first, I had like an idea earlier on to extend the bus connection of the 31 bus route. So, I'm not sure if you could really see it here, but like there's a 31 bus that parks like right outside of Livermore Street, so you could turn onto it. So I was thinking that the bus route could extend and like kind of circle around because there is like a roundabout area which would allow for that to happen. And I think that the parking, I think that the parking space in the community center is enough also for people if there's like not enough parking on my site, they could easily walk over. Oh, okay. So yeah, I would have like an additional like bus stop there from Livermore Street.
Their thing. Oh, sorry, they're doing their thing, but I'm also, I'm in sight, but then the space is also soft, so that if like a toddler or young older child is in there, it's not like a alarming thing, where I have to be hyper vigilant in the park. Thank you.
Hey, Rihanna. So, as your project mentor, I just want to first applaud you for how you've expanded this idea, originally being a transportation design challenge to really looking at open space and incorporating all the feedback that you got from your peers in the survey, wanting to create a space for young people as well as adults in this sort of underutilized space. As someone who's also a resident of Mattapan and part of the neighborhood council, I too grew up around there and I used to go to the Mattahunt. So for me, this was a very personal project. So I just want to applaud you on, how you've grown, and seeing your design skills grow in the process has also been really impressive. So my question is, what are some of the lessons learned? Like, what are a few things that you would like that you've taken away from this experience, that you want to kind of put out there? Like, I know we were talking about like limited access to diverse renderings of people. It was a challenge, trying to figure out how to um, get folks to participate in the survey when you have limited time. So just tell us a little bit about like what were some of the lessons learned?
Yeah, okay, so um I would say some of the lessons learned was like really learning how to like implement my like ideas for design in the available space that I had, because I feel like a lot of the designs that I was like thinking of and like trying to develop wasn't really like correlating and like fitting onto my site, and I had to like kind of like figure out the ways to like keep it together and like actually be logical and usable. Another like challenge that I had was like I guess just like figuring out the logistics, because I do have the parking space right onto Livermore Street, but then I have the side entrance further down like where the community center is. So I think another thing that I would like to further consider is like where my main entrance would be and how the stage would kind of interfere with that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly, and this is my project on Jamaica Plains, Flower Haven. And so, starting off with an introduction, I am a junior at Excel High, and I enjoy walking in the Arboretum during the summertime, but I also like to ski and ride my bike. Here's a table of contents. These are the things that we'll be discussing today in my project, which are the background set analysis, problem statement, community engagement, proposed design, details, and conclusion. Details and the conclusion. And so this is the map of Boston, and highlighted in the star right there is Jamaica Plain. This is my site, which you'll see furthermore. Here are the existing conditions on my site. You can see that there is a lot of uneven pavement and the sun is very exposed to the cars. Here you can see that my site is located at 119 South Street and it is close to residential and commercial buildings. In the gray there's also a youth center that I wanted to dedicate this space to. My site is also accessible by the Orange Line, which is about a 7-minute walk from the station. It is also close to Margarita Muniz, another school within the site. For the residents of Jamaica Plain, 54% of residents are white, 25% are Hispanic, 12% are Black, and 6% are Asian. In Jamaica Plain, the majority of the residents ages 35 to 64 is 36%, with 9% of its residents 18 years or older. In the environment, you can see that on my site at 6 a.m., the sun is pretty towards the end of the site. But when it gets to 8 a.m., you can see that the site is fully exposed to the sunlight. Towards 6 p.m., it is almost closer to the dawn. With these sun positions, I wanted to incorporate different elements of flowers that are positioned specifically on my site. With the existing conditions, this is my problem statement. The cracked and uneven pavement in the parking lot creates a safe hazard for its residents. A single use combined with intense sun exposure and impervious surfaces prevents people from entering and gathering, often feeling isolated. And with my solution, I wanted to create a vibrant place to gather safely. The community will feel a sense of belonging to have access to multi-use spaces such as murals, custom bike racks, seating, shade, and other engaging elements that merge together as one. With the issue of my site, I want to create a survey to gain feedback from the neighborhood. And you're probably wondering, why a survey? With this survey, it would help understand people's experiences in the neighborhood. It will identify who lives in the neighborhood and gives ideas for problem solving and gives real feedback from people using the space. From the community engagement results, you can see that 29% of people are between the ages of 31 and 40, but mostly as well as under 18. And for their preferred transportation method, 41% prefer public transit over driving and walking. Here is my proposed design. You can see furthermore into the design after, but you can see that there is a median between the trees, and there's 2 different sections to it. This is a plan view of my site. You can see on the top in the green is a grassy area for the pedestrian side, and there is a perfect pavement for the parking side. As well, for the pedestrian side, there are shading structures. These are some of the elements that will be on the site. In the entrance here, you can see that there's an archway that will lead you into a more floral area. And on the top there is a bench that is for the seating on my site. Here are the murals. The murals will be on the parking side. And so this mural will be dedicated to the local artists and other people that can make this mural possible. Within the site, you saw these giant barrels within the median of my site. These are the garden beds. Up top is a side view and the plan views on the bottom. Here is a section of the different layers of the garden bed. You have the soil, compost, plant waste, and wood. Here is a blooming chart of the plants I consider on my site. In the future, I hope to plan more diversity in my plants. Here is my final design. You can see the shading structures in the trees. With this image, I wanted to depict what it feels like walking into this space. The youth center I mentioned before would be able to use this space. In this image, I found that a lot of adults and children like to roam around in grassy areas. With this image, you can see that a lot of children are here with their parents. And with this space, I wanted to turn this parking lot, into a public space that can address some of the issues in Jamaica Plain, such as a lack of shade, seating, and a lack of greenery. With this area, children, pets, and adults can enjoy a nice area that complements Jamaica Plain. Thank you.
The thing I've been trying to figure out is like, what are the actual causes of the hazards? Like, yeah. I mean, like the actual cause of the hazards.
I feel like majority of the areas in Jamaica Plain are very crowded and busy with cars. And so I want to create a space that was comfortable in the area, but also it's accessible for people that might want to go in this area, but also to also drive their way through.
Hi, I just wanted to say great project. It was really thoughtful and your presentation was super clear. So congratulations. My question for you is how did you, I think when looking at your site, it looks like it's about half parking and half kind of the park in your design. So I was curious how you struck that balance and maybe why you didn't consider kind of taking over more of the site and reducing the overall parking. Thanks.
So originally both sides had parking. And so I wanted to create a seating area on one of the sides and keep the parking on the left for the residents that are living next to the parking lot. And the seating side would be accessible for people that live in there and others.
Hi, Kelly. Amazing job. Congratulations. I can see you did a lot of work between Tuesday and today. It's awesome. Yeah, it was very clear. I want to echo that. And you have some really great presentation skills. So that's a very good skill set that's going to serve you in the future. And I want to know from here what you learned, what inspires you most about what you learned and what you want to continue to pursue going forward.
I think what I've learned is like exploring the area more. I feel like as a JP resident, I don't explore much as I wanted to, but looking into an area that I've never been to, it kind of like is rewarding and sort of like brings me into like a new space. And as for other pursuits, I want to explore like more around photography and other things that like surround the area.
Hello, my name is Ariana. This project is in Brighton. I attend Boston Green Academy and I'm a sophomore. I was born and raised in Boston, Brighton, which is why I'm more passionate about this project. And I've been in this neighborhood my entire life. This is my site, the blue line, and these are all the schools in a 2-mile radius. I wanted to show this because I went to the Jackson Man and I constantly went through this area. Now, if you look at this area, doesn't look like a very good place for an elementary student to be walking through all the time. There's lots of extra bodies of water. Well, not bodies, but puddles. And I remember coming home and often having to change my socks immediately because it would be wet. This is the demographics. It has a high percentage of white people. This is mainly because of college students. And this is the air temperature around the area. It's mostly red because right next to it is the 90 highway, I-90, and also the commuter rail. This is my problem statement. There is a lack of outdoor and community space, and also an overwhelming amount of concrete and unpaved roads. Concrete has lessened the visual appeal of the area, and water cannot infiltrate the ground properly because of all the concrete, which causes flooding. Brighton also has a high amount of 911 calls due to student mental health. And after assessing my problem statement, I decided to make 3 goals. 1, to bring attention to the space. 2, to make the space green. And 3, to make the space accessible. These are pictures of my site and its conditions. The first one is a sign that one of the businesses had to make because they're not getting any business due to the conditions of the site. And this is an expensive place. They're charging around $7 for a donut for them to get no type of traction. And the second site was actually taken yesterday. This is a picture yesterday, around 3. And yeah, it just doesn't look good at all. And this is a picture in the winter. As you can see, a lot of shade takes over the area. That was in the morning around 8. Next is my community engagement. This is pie charts of questions that I asked and their responses. I asked if they wish they had more green spaces in the Brighton area. I also asked if they feel as if Brighton lacks aesthetics and artistry, and also if they wish there were more places to relax and have fun in Brighton. All the main answers to these were yes. And I asked these questions because I often felt this way, and I wanted to see if people agreed with me so I could add that to my project. And this is what people said. They said the area could be better built because next to the site is an abandoned building, which also just makes the space more hard to look at. Somebody else said the place is an eyesore and lacks tree and coverage or any aesthetic elements. And the third comment is what pushed me to keep parking, even though I wanted to completely remove it from the area. They said that parking may be necessary for the businesses and for the truck deliveries. And people also said the place is perfect for murals and sculptures. And they also said that they wanted the place to be transformed into something that could be unique and useful to the people who are around it. So what I learned from all these comments were that more plants were wanted and needed, and parking could not be fully removed like I originally intended. And the community wanted more authenticity in the area. And these are my proposed designs. This is my president's, which inspired me for this. The first image is plants in the center of seating, which I thought could be useful because not only is it introducing greenery to the area, but it's also a place for people to sit. The second image is actually in Cambridge. It's called Graffiti Alley. The roofing inspired me because there are holes by the sides so water could still come out and water plants. And the third image is in New York. The glass also inspired me and all the greenery, which I thought could be a nice touch to my site. These are the sketches I started with. I first started with all stairs around it, but then I realized that that didn't add up to my goals, which was to make it all accessible. So I got rid of that. And I also only had one parking space for trucks, which also didn't align with what I wanted because it would be taking away too much parking. So then I started in SketchUp and I added an accessibility ramp and I added parking behind a place where friends can sit together, the wooden bench where people could sit together, and there was also excess parking in the back. And this is my SketchUp from afar. And this is my rendering. In the bottom of that structure, I have a storage so you could pack things away for the winter time. And I also decided to add somebody using the ramp. Think of it as they're done with their conversation and now they use it. The people up top are having conversation, enjoying their $7 donuts. And this is a picture of my accessible pathway, which follows ADA guidelines. And on the sides, I have a patch of greenery, which you can't see it from this angle, but there's glass roofing that curves along the line so water can still reach the grass. And there's also a pervious ground on the other side. And this pathway leads to another bench if you want to maybe sit in solitude, read a book. And this is a lady using a crosswalk. I added crosswalks and speed bumps to make sure it's still safe for everybody. And on the side, it can be used as a sidewalk, but in the mornings, delivery trucks usually pull over in the mornings in front of the garages. So I thought that could also be used. And this is a lady just looking through her purse, maybe reaching to get a book while she's sitting by herself. And that little wooden thing in the middle, I thought somebody could maybe sit there if there's not enough seating so they could all just chat with their friends, but there's still a bit of greenery in the center. And yeah, these are just people enjoying their time. The stairs, the larger stairs, I thought could also be used as seating in case you want to watch your kids play and there's not enough room up there. And this is the area with more greenery that I thought I could include. And these are my greenery elements: flowery things, tall grass, short grass, and something to feed the birds. Introduce new animals to the area. And this is my closing portion. I'm proposing a space that will activate an underutilized and unpaved road while also increasing awareness around its potential by adding slanted roofing in grassy areas, which hopefully lessens the amount of concrete and excess rainwater in a fun and innovative way. The area can be used as a safe space for people to get a breath of fresh air if things start to get too much. And through this experience, I discovered more about Brighton and gained an interest in quantifying the amount of unused spaces which have so much potential for activation. That's all. Any questions?
You did an amazing job in the presentation. I really enjoyed the rhythm of how you revealed different parts of the site. Um, I really appreciated how you took care of the existing program. Like it's a busy alleyway. There's a lot of trucks and commercial vehicles going through, and you still kept space for them while also accommodating other needs for the community. I'm wondering if you thought about how the space could also be used in the winter, because I still believe there are going to be people who want to spend $7 on a donut, get their coffee. Was that part of your design process?
In the winter, I sort of intended the spaces that were not in reach, like the wooden benches, for them to be packed away and for this part to still be used since there's still roofing over it. I felt like it could still be used. Um, and yeah, I think I would, yeah, I think that's my solution. Mhm. Any other questions?
I have a question. Could I ask it remotely? Can you hear me? Okay, great.
Yes.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Great. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. And Ariana, congrats and congratulations to all the DESI mentors or all the DESI mentors and interns. I think it's really great, Ariana, that your project explores accessibility. And today in architecture, there are a lot of conversations around the kind of holistic approach to accessibility, that we need to think about ramps, but also spaces that feel safe for different groups and communities. So I'm curious how you approach that in your own work. And I think it's really great that, for example, you have representation of a wheelchair user in your renderings.
Yeah, I decided to add this because my mom actually has cerebral palsy, so I know what it's sort of like to live with someone who has a disability, and I wanted to be able to make this a space for everybody. So yeah, that was sort of my thought process behind that.
Thanks for sharing. It's a really amazing project.
Thank you.
Hi, Aria. Thank you again. It's a beautiful project that you have. One of the things I would encourage is that all the students who be presenting is, I'm also part of what's called the Article 80 modernization process for the city of Boston. And one thing that has been left out is exactly what you did. So I do encourage you to actually, your mentors, it helps to actually approach the city. And if you need, I will gladly help you do it, to actually put this as part of something that can actually be put in. Because as you say, Alston and Brighton have a lot of large apartment buildings, a lot of concrete, but there isn't anything right now, even with the modernization, that actually addresses those types of spaces. So thank you. It's very thoughtful.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vivian, and I'm a senior at Boston Latin Academy. My project is the Rutherford Avenue Greenway, located in my neighborhood of Charlestown. While analyzing the property usage of my neighborhood, I've came to the realization that residential spaces are all on one side while commercial spaces are on the other side. That's why I realized that my neighborhood has a lack of connectivity to link major transit sites and development, creating barriers for pedestrians and limiting key accesses on other areas. This ineffective infrastructure hinders seamless movement and integration within the neighborhood. So for my site, I decided to focus on this avenue in particular because it splits between commercial and residential spaces. And this is Rutherford Ave, and it kind of looks like this. It's a very wide and long avenue. Since it's so long, I decided to divide it into two zones. And within these two zones, this is where I can see people or pedestrians in particular having a safe crossing. Starting with zone 1, which currently it's a bridge that allows people to cross. It has stairs and a ramp. While surveying people, many people express that there's unclear signage, very uneven roads, and potholes everywhere. And they said that crossing this bridge has a freeway feeling because of the sounds of like whooshing cars passing by. And it's very time consuming to get on and off this bridge. I also asked people like how often they took the orange line at this station to kind of get a sense of like how many people utilize this bridge. So my plan is to basically remodel the stairs of this bridge and remove the ramp and slap an elevator there. This is kind of what my proposed design looks like, and I added directions on how people would move around. Breaking down the stairs first, an addition that I added was a bike ramp, which is simply just a ramp, but it has a slight 1-inch dent into it so that people with bikes can still get on the stairs and take their bikes along them simply for convenience. Here are some measurements for the stairs that I found based off researching code. Most importantly, I wanted to remove this ramp because of regulations, this ramp has to be really long, and the distance of the ramp is actually longer than the bridge itself. So it doesn't make it necessarily more accessible or convenient for people. So that's why I'm proposing to put an elevator there instead. And in between my two zones, there's the rest of the avenue, which I find it important to also improve to make my two zones a bit more seamless. Within the avenue, at most, there will be like 4 lanes of cars on each side. And when surveying people to get a better understanding if they realize, if they were more aware about the sites around the second zone, and clearly not many people do. To address this area, I decided to look at other countries, specifically the Netherlands and like Amsterdam. In the way that they've done it, switching from a car-oriented place to a more pedestrian-friendly one, was by making their roads all one-ways, reducing the space that they have for cars by replacing it with like mini parks, and their sidewalks and roads are integrated in a way that's convenient for bikers. And speaking of bikers, I decided to look at the official bike lanes within my own neighborhood and as well as like the neighboring city of Cambridge, which Cambridge does a really good job with having a lot of bike lanes, while in my neighborhood, it's a bit bare. When taking a closer look at my own site, it does have a lot of like blue bike stations, so people do have access to bikes in this area, but there just isn't much official bike lanes. That's why I'm proposing that on this avenue, that we should take one of the 4 lanes that cars have and replace it with a bike lane. But since bikes aren't as wide as cars, they don't necessarily need as much space. That's why I'm also proposing to extend the sidewalk so that when more people come, they can walk together and go down the avenue. I also decided to add more trees in this area as kind of a way as a guide for people to go from like zone 1 to zone 2. Additionally, in this area, cars need to like be more slow, especially now they can go really fast. And my initial thought was just having a raised sidewalk, but just simply having one raised thing to like prevent cars from going so fast isn't as effective. So I decided that throughout this avenue, like multiple speed reducers be added so that cars can slowly go through, or so that cars know that this entire avenue, it should be a slower place and not at a certain section. And then we get to zone 2, which looks kind of like this. I call it a mini island. It's in between like the lanes for the cars, and it's quite bare. And it's currently not being utilized, which is such a waste, especially since people standing at this place have this amazing view of Boston. While further looking at this little island that I call, it's very concrete, very boring, very bare. That's why I decided that for my proposed design to add more greenery, add more dirt so that we can add bushes and make it a bit more lively. To add a bit more into this space so that people have a reason to come in here, I decided that entrances should have like Polaroids and a shading structure right in front of the entrance. And then further along this island, I decided to add like spaced out seating so that people walking around could also like take a seat here. And then lastly, like I decided to add a playground structure or exercise equipment so that people kind of have an activity to do here so that they're not just like walking in here for no reason. This is kind of what it looks like all together. And this is my rendering for like if somebody were to like walk in here, and this is like kind of what they would experience or feel. And then this is like kind of the experience here for like the shading structure. Playground and exercise structures over here, and that the exercise structure would be like in front of the playground so that maybe parents could like get their exercise in while also watching over their kids. And then in the middle, there's a walkway and alongside seating so that anybody walking by, if they feel tired, they can just sit. And then in conclusion, with my design, I had the intention of improving connectivity by integrating a more pedestrian-friendly accesses into a car-oriented site to enhance safety, accessibility, aesthetics, and convenience. And from this, I hope that Charlestown can be a bit more engaging. Thank you. Any questions?
I just have a comment. So I really appreciated all of the changes you made. I used to work in this area and I remember it just being so disconnected, and it would go from, there's parts of Charlestown that are very green and vibrant, but then when you get into this specific street, it would just transition into something completely different. So I like the way that you made everything so cohesive and just more integrated so that it kind of, it just feels more continuous when you're in the neighborhood. And I really love the bike ramp because I've been talking about that bike ramp for a while with you. It was such a good idea. And more places should have it because I think it would encourage people to bring their bikes if they know it's not going to take them that long or be that strenuous to bring it up the stairs. Anyone else?
Thank you so much for your presentation. You did such a great job. It's such an extensive project, and I really love your holistic perspective on it. My question is, in the area between your two sites, you were talking about adding the bike lane. Did you think about adding barriers between the car lanes and the bike lanes or not? And why did you decide to do that?
I didn't add it here, but I think like there should be some barriers just because like there's still like 3 lanes left for cars and like it could still be dangerous.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you for this design. You've identified a design transformation need in an area that it's so needed. I'm wondering, would you be interested in presenting this to officials with the city and the state? Because I can help arrange that for you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for all those connections. We really appreciate it. We're gonna go with Caitlin's presentation and then we'll have about a 5-minute break just so y'all can get to the bathroom, and then we have 5 other ones after that.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Lee, and my DESI project is transforming Taitung Street into an urban oasis. I'd like to thank Sabrina, my TA, and Sinead, my mentor. I'm a senior at Boston Latin School, and next year I'll be going to Syracuse to study architecture. Another fun fact about me is that thank you. I also love shopping and going out, especially with this lovely woman here. She's my grandma. She's 80 years old, but recently in the past few years, she's just been like more reluctant to go out, and she enjoys staying inside. And when I asked her, well, grandma, why don't you want to go out anymore? She said that she's just, it feels like a hassle to go out because she's scared of walking on the sidewalks and falling. And when I asked my mom, well, why can't we just get her a walker? She said that my grandma doesn't want to be seen with a walker because she doesn't want to be viewed as handicapped. And so we're not able to walk around densely populated places like Chinatown the same way we used to. And when thinking about Chinatown, Chinatown has a lot of elderly, and it's also been historically displaced, both socially and environmentally. Residents where mom and pop shops are basically being pushed out and more food chains are coming in. And residents sort of have to battle between limited parking spaces, but also green spaces. And talking to a community resident, she said that there's tensions between which space should be prioritized when thinking about what do we do about with these available areas. And so I chose Taitung Street because the population there has limited English speaking skills, as well as low income, and people there are over the age of 64. And so Taitung Street, it's a small strip, but it's located next to Taitung Complex that houses a lot of elderly. And it has Taitung Park, but it's basically just this strip of green turf with seating, but the seating has no backing. And also it's made out of metal, which gets really hot during the summer. And the streets there are all one way. So in this intersection, there are a lot of accidents. And this is a huge concern if there are elderly using the crosswalks. And then going into the crosswalks themselves, they're narrow and they have a lot of cracks in them, especially going to the area that's considered the park. And so when looking at all of these conditions that are there, I knew that I wanted to work on Taitung Street, but it's such a small road, and I wondered, like, how can this contribute or like help Chinatown in a more broader context? So the best way to figure that out was just asking the Chinatown residents themselves. So I interviewed residents, and one resident who lives in Taitung Village his whole life basically said that the scenery has become less enjoyable. And I asked Jenny Huang, who's a community designer at ACDC, which is located in Chinatown, that she feels like there could be more Chinese elements in the design. And we sort of see these Chinese elements in the area that we're in, but this area is more commercial where we see more restaurants, but more of the residents live back there where we don't see as much Chinese elements. And so this led me to think, well, what is the overall problem? Well, Chinatown has historically been displaced socially, environmentally, and green spaces are limited due to the neighborhood's density, giving people no choice but to surrender outdoor recreation for practicality and functionality, going back to the idea of which space should be prioritized, parks or parking lots. And so I thought about what are the solutions or main ideas that we could do to tackle that problem. And the first one was incorporating green spaces by also making sure that those green spaces created opportunities to engage residents. And so I thought about how can this that idea sort of take form into the shape of the site. So I knew I wanted to incorporate green spaces, but also allow parking, but then thinking about how could residents sort of flow from one area to another and sort of making the space one instead of just parks and parking. And so when thinking about how to connect the two areas together, I want to apply a Woodruff concept, which is basically a living street. And we sort of see this in Beacon Hill, where people prefer to walk on the streets because it's just better for the scenery, but they also feel safe because cars are driving slower, because the primary focus for cars driving there is just to go park at their house. And also including green buffers so that we sort of see this connection from one space to another. And then I also thought about if that's what we need in the site, how should it look? And so going into like creating organic shapes and sort of keeping some sort of motif that connects one space to another, I thought about having curved seating that sort of feels like it's shaping the area instead of it being like empty benches when we're walking around the space in the winter. And also adding some sort of like extra seating, but also creating some sort of pavement that follows from the parking area over into the park space. And then when we're thinking about opening green spaces, an area that's like surrounded by a lot of buildings and infrastructure, I wanted to sort of create this like idea where greenery is sort of coming back into the space through these like variations of different tiles. And then also thinking about going back to having a natural element, but also a cultural element. So I was inspired by like a bamboo grove where the lights would be sort of like bamboo lights, but also the seating itself would be made out of wood. And then thinking about having this curved seating that's organic to follow, like to juxtapose like the surrounding area that's more harsh and concrete, but also giving backing to the elderly. And then also, of course, embedding different types of plants and vegetation to this area so that we're sort of able to have like a middle ground between what's functional, but also what is like sort of artistic. And so thinking about like how the space should feel, it should feel like greenery is sort of taking over and it's able to come back after being sort of pushed out by all these buildings. And then from there and that idea, I decided to go into like different like ways to illustrate this by going through sketches and then SketchUp, and also making sure that we're able to tackle how this place has been environmentally displaced by having permeable pavement to combat runoffs. And then also thinking about how the site isn't just like a destination, but it's more of like a way to benefit or like improve your day-to-day journey when going to like your house to the grocery store. And I know my grandma, she gets tired really easily. So this could be a space for her to just sit down. And it's also just an area to improve the surrounding area of Chinatown. Oops. And then thinking about that organic seating and how when you're sitting there, you can sort of feel like you're enclosed by all this nature and you feel more safe. And then also thinking about how you can make this area more safe at night by having that bamboo lighting. And because bamboo is an invasive species in Chinatown, it would just be more of a facade. And this is going back to the idea of making things still functional, but also bringing a natural element. And then also adding bamboo to the sides and just incorporating greenery in different ways, whether it's through the pavement on the ground or embedded in the areas or the existing trees. And also making sure that the spaces could be used for different events. So this area could be closed off for more events that happen. And we see these events happen more closer to like Chinatown Gate, but we're trying to bring things back to the residential side so elderly have a like more accessible way to get there. And I could sort of see like my grandma going here and then continuing her shopping for veggies. In fact, I actually put her right there. Oops. So this whole idea is that this project is meant to celebrate the culture of Chinatown, but also tackle the problems between having a green space in such a densely built environment. This space is meant to be a bridge between natural elements and functional infrastructure, promoting the outdoor engagement for all ages. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
So much. Hi, I just have to say you have really strong storytelling skills, really strong presentation skills. At no point during your presentation was I lost, and that was just amazing. I remember seeing your project during your midterm review, and you already had such strong visuals, whether it be from your collages to site analysis and sections, all of that. And you've managed to go back and further develop them, which is just amazing. And I just want to congratulate you on the amazing work.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, I feel like that was loud. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate how much you care about materiality because as a landscape designer, like that's so often overlooked, and you're really thinking about more cultural significance and environmental like impacts and stuff like that. So I think that like, you're just guiding us into a better future.
Thank you.
Hi, Caitlin. I just wanted to say congratulations on a fantastic project. It's been really exciting to watch you really dig into the research for a project that is personal to you, but can also have great community impact for the surrounding neighborhood. So I just wanted to say congratulations. I was also really excited to see you explore the site at many different scales, from the zoomed out scale all the way down to the details of the seating and the lighting and the materiality. And so I just wanted to encourage you to continue to explore at different scales and using different mediums, because I really think you're an incredible storyteller and will be a fantastic designer. Congrats.
Yeah.
Great. So coming up next, we have Deanna.
Hello, everyone. All right, sorry. Hi, my name is Deanna, and I have created Boston's first indoor dog park. So hi, today I'm presented to the. Sorry, okay. Hi, my name is Deanna, and I attend at Tech Boston Academy, and I'm here to present you my design. This is where I'm gonna put my dog park. So I chose Hemingway Park in Dorchester. And the reason why is like the big field is like, it's like very, it's spacey, and that, I chose to choose it like here in my design and stuff. This picture is like the like main area of Boston, and it's like shows like there's not really a lot of dog parks here, and like it's just, if it's like is like a park, it's just a regular park and not like specifically for dogs. It's just for um like for residents. And like my issue is that in like Dorchester, Boston, yeah, it shows a lack of like dog parks and like parks in general around this like area of Dorchester. Dorchester is like one of the biggest cities, like not biggest cities, biggest like areas of Boston. So that's like, and it's really concerning of how there's no like dog parks when there's a lot of residents and like owners who like own dogs. And this is my community engagement. I made like an indoor dog park survey and see what they wanted. And basically my questions were like, do you think like Boston needs more indoor spaces for dogs to play? And majority said yes. And also my main question was like, would you be interested in visiting like an indoor greenhouse themed dog park in Hemingway? And majority said yes as well. And I added like additional features, and basically majority wanted a cafe seating area and like training classes. And so my proposed design is like, this is like what, based on my feedback, this is what I wanted. So so basically by using Photoshop, I used these like greenery, like veins and like greenery vines that come down the walls. And I also, this area is where like I want my, I create like a shop where like people could come in and they can buy stuff. And I have like seating areas here. And there's also seating areas around this area, which is like by a cafe. I don't know if you can't really see it, but there's like people and dogs. And I created like a cafe, and like, so people can come get their coffee or whatever. So it can just be like a more environmental space. I also have two areas, which is one main area for like the big dogs and stuff like that, and one small area for like the shy dogs and like puppies too. And oh, this is like bigger, like so you can see it more. This is my like my Inkscape design. So basically like for the materials, I would like to use like the wood flooring and like white walls. And like after the outside, I wanted brick walls to make it more natural looking. And basically, like this would be the filtration area, and basically this would be like how it would like be below underground, like the dog park area itself. So it would have like soil, gravel, and like canine grass, and like these different like filters help like drain and rinse urine and feces. And this solution attacks problems about like unsanitary conditions created from owners not picking up their waste. And also like the reason why I wanted this idea was because like a lot of times outside, you see like a lot of waste in the sidewalks or in like parks when they state like, oh, always pick up your waste and stuff, and they never do it, and it's like it can cause like a sanitary issue, and people can't, like, you know, some kids can step on it, and it's like very like unhealthy, and you can smell it, especially in the like of the summertime when it gets heated up, it's hot. And also, um, yeah, this is my conclusion. In order for Boston have a clean and safe community, we have to take care of not only ourselves, but the pets as well. Pets play a very important role by making everyone feel positive, increase socialization. And so if humans can have entertaining indoor spaces, then why can't dogs have them too? Any questions? Any questions?
Hi, Deanna. It was a pleasure being your mentor. I really appreciate how you um, have multiple different spaces within this area. I think that this is going to be a huge draw for people in Dorchester. I think that it'll be a positive space for pets, and they won't be afraid to like have fun and do their thing, and have owners like bond and have great time. So really excited to have this grow into something big.
Idea, great project. The park was the image with the park. So is the dog,
It's an
the
indoor.
design in inside of the park?
Sorry, like this is like where like the two play areas. So this it's like the Boston, like it's an indoor dog park.
For the building itself, is there an existing building there, or are you
Yeah,
thinking of
there
a-
is. That's like I didn't like I forgot the roof part, but yes, this is like a whole like building area.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
I think this is really great that you proposed this because with Boston having pretty much 3 to 4 months of winter and also rainy weather, we've been having much more rain in recent years. It's very challenging to take your pet out. Sometimes they don't want to go out. So it's a nice place that we could go and socialize with other pet owners. I know that it's very beneficial to dogs, especially when they're alone all the time. But they're like they can suffer anxiety and depression because they don't have any of like that stimulation from their owners. So it's a nice place where they can go and let it all out. And I appreciated the different sizes of areas that you have because yeah, like when it comes to puppies, you have to be so careful when you're raising them, or else if they have a bad encounter, they can become aggressive over time. So it's nice that they have a space where they can just be puppies and not necessarily bump into larger dogs that might intimidate them or scare them. Thank you.
I also wanted to state that I looked at other presidents and I noticed that like there are other indoor dog parks in other like states or like countries, but it's like more private. I wanted to make it more like public for the space, and it costs like them monthly. So it's just like very private. And I feel like it's very unfair also. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Bautista, and my project is about the Mountain River Corridor with a purpose of reconnecting people with nature. So once again, my name is Nelly. I grew up in Guatemala and I moved to the US when I was 12. So I've been living in Malden for around 4 years, but I recently moved to Melrose, but it's still pretty close to Malden. I love going out with my friends and I love trying new foods. And this is great because Malden is a very diverse neighborhood. And yeah. These are the existing conditions of my site. It's like 65 feet by 25 feet. There's not a lot of seating. It's a very open space, but the sun gets to hit it a lot here. And so it's not great for people to go there, so no one visits. There's like a few picnic tables, but nothing else. So some surrounding areas, this is Malden Center if you've ever been down there, and that's Malden High School where I go. So from there to the Malden River, it's about a 20-minute walk, and then from Malden Center, it's about a 10-minute walk. I wanted to highlight this area because it's a very commercial area. There's Toile Joie, which is like a bakery. There's also galleries and there's also entertainment down there. So there's a lot of food traffic, which I want to encourage people to go down there and just enjoy a third space, which we need a lot in Malden. So my area has a lot of trees and it has a bus stop for the 97 Wellington. So it's very easy for people to go get off there and walk down to my site, but they currently don't do so because no one knows about it. Because through my community engagement, I realized that 20% of people don't know about it because it's a very isolated place and it's very neglected. So that is why I came up with a problem statement that highlights how it lacks visitors because it doesn't have seating and it also faces environmental challenges such as poor water quality, sorry, and it only has trees for greenery, so it's not very attractive. I also asked people what they wanted to see. I released a survey, and people said they wanted like food trucks, floating wetlands, and like a walking path and a bike rack. So I tried my best to incorporate this in my design because I want the people to actually use it. This is a plan view of my site. This over here is the grass. There's a lot of seating, while the place with the canopies, it's very open field, open for picnics and everything else. And down here, that's the riverside where I included floating seating and wetlands. So first I want to discuss is my cubby seating. I wanted to make a more private space for people to just read, do their homework and whatnot, because I know a lot of people want to be kind of not secluded, but want their own space to just be more productive. However, I didn't want them to feel isolated. So the privacy screens are just vines and the web planes are just for people to rely on. And yeah, just with the purpose of connecting people with nature, I wanted there to be a tree or some sort of plant so people felt in a better environment. Some of the details is that it has cushions for comfortability. It also has like interactive signs on the outer walls, just because I want people to post like posters or like community events so that they stay informed and connected. Yeah, it also has like solar cells. So these provide energy for the outlets so people can charge their computers, their phones. I know my phone always runs out of battery, so it's great. And then at night, I also wanted some solar powered lights. So when people walk in that area at night, there is going to be light. And I wanted it to be made out of polywood because I wanted this place to feel warm and just inviting and comfortable. And yeah. So the next one is the seating and community garden. This is like an early sketch of what I wanted it to look like. I wanted people not only to have a community garden, but I wanted them to be able to just feel like they are one with it. And so it also has, this one is like raised seating, so it is accessible for people with wheelchairs. And yeah, this render just highlights how people would use this, even like animals and children. And I also wanted to add this pavilion because I wanted people to have the opportunity to have like pop-ups or events just to sell whatever they want, because it is a great way to support small businesses. And the wetland and floating seating is something that I really want because I wanted people to feel like they were part of the river and that this river belongs to them so that they can be able to take care of it. So this is like an elevation of the floating seating so people could be able to just like step into it and just enjoy themselves there. For the for the wetland, it is to improve the water quality. So it has a shrub layer, it has high bush blueberry, it also has a herbaceous layer that contains grasses, and the ground layer contains the composing plant as well as and the soil and surface phase layer has organic matter. So how this works is that the shrubs go down into the water and the roots absorb all of the chemicals and all of the extra nutrients that the river has, which just improves the water quality. And so in conclusion, I want this place to encourage people to visit the corridor, to take care of the river, but also to be a third place for people that they don't have to pay. They can just go there and enjoy themselves. And I also wanted to unite the community by hosting events and just increase interactivity with nature, since I know that's a very big problem nowadays. So that's why I included floating wetlands. And yeah, thank you. Questions, comments?
Hi, Nelly. This is really amazing. Really, you incorporated so many different elements, selecting the proper site, sustainability, solar energy, and then really connecting the nature, kind of taking your initial ideas and concept to all the way through developing little details into the seating spaces. And then obviously the materials and kind of thinking the whole project holistically. So really amazing job doing that. My only question is, would you consider kind of all of the learnings and what you learned through this project to any other local neighborhood projects or any areas to develop?
Thank you. That's my mentor, by the way. So shout out to Ankita for all the help, and also Sabrina, my beautiful TA. And yeah, so talking about that, I forgot to mention, but down my side, there is the Modern River Park, which is a project that the Modern River Works is currently working on. So it is more parking, more open space, and there's also like a boathouse for the high school. But I love this idea of just connecting people with nature. So I feel like if we can incorporate that all over the place, it would be amazing, because I know that it helps with mental health, and just like having access to these third places allow us to coexist with one another. And yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm actually from Malden, and um, I'm part of the board of Bike to Sea, which is the steward of the North Strand Trail. It goes by the area in your project, and I was wondering, since your mentor mentioned it as a question, do you know Karen Buck?
Yeah, I know her.
Oh, yeah, you should get connected with her because she's one of the driving forces behind the Mullen River Works Park. She's part of Friend of the Mullen River, and they're allied with Mystic River Watershed Association, and they're invested and interested in the Mullen River Works project. So I'm also familiar with this area, and it definitely could use improvement. So it excites me to see your project. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, adding on to that, I actually know Karen, and she's been of great help with all of the just logistics of the river. So thank you for mentioning that.
Hi, thank you. Beautiful project. What is the material that the petals would be made of?
Oh, it's high density polyethylene, which is like it's floating. It doesn't like decompose in the water. It's like very comfortable for people to sit in there. Yeah.
Last question.
Hello. I want to congratulate you. It's a really amazing project, and I also am glad that you incorporated the section that we discussed the previous Saturday. I think sections gives you a lot of information about the spatial configuration of a project, even more than renders. And yeah, congratulate you again.
Thank you. What was that name? Oh, okay. Thank you so much for all of your time.
Well, good afternoon. So today I'll be talking about the biostop. My name is Tao. I'm a sophomore at Boston Latin School. So quick introduction is that I live in Fuse Corner, and this neighborhood was originally founded in the 1630s by the Puritans who had immigrated to Boston. And this was one of the largest A-Bay colony and it was the first to use its public tax money to support the school system. But however, in the 1930s, it was redlined with continued effects seen today, such as over here, these type of apartments. Quick fun fact, by the way, the first chocolate factory in the United States was built in the Lower Mills section of Dorchester. So some demographic informations. Dorchester is mostly made out of 30%, no, a lot of like majority Black, white, Hispanics, and Latino. However, the site that I'll be like, the area that I'll be working on is mainly made out of Vietnamese communities and with events such as like Boston Little Saigon or building lanterns. This area is very enriched with like cultures. And if you want Vietnamese food, please come to this area, Dorchester. So for the tree equity, Dorchester ranked quite low as it was, red line, and also the air quality there isn't the best. And for this pictures, I want the key takeaway for this picture, like you're seeing right here, is that there are a lot of bus stops. Please keep that in mind. All right, my project sites. I have chosen right there in the stars. It's located in 493 Geneva Street, next to Fuse Corner, and also this retail commercial space. And this is what it looks like right now. There's no proper weather protections, and you see the sun is directly shining into it despite having a roof. And it's very unwelcoming as there's a trash can nearby. And when it's hot, it can be foul smelling for people who might be sitting next to it. There's also hostile architecture, as you can see on the bench, and there's no amenities that is in these bus stops. So who's being affected by this? In this area, there is a school, there is also a public library, there's a park, and again, there's a big retail stores. And this bus stops right here is being used a lot by the Dorchester residents. This is Dorchester Avenue, and this is Geneva Avenue. Problem statements. In Boston right now, public transportation play a crucial role in the everyday commutes of people because the MBTA bus stop serves over 350,000 riders per weekday. Bus stops are meant to provide shelters from harsh weather, as well as like safe waiting areas. But with its current design, it's often failed to meet those expectations. And to address those issues, I want to redesign the bus stop at 493 Avenue Geneva for the public safety that ensure both comfort and, yeah. Oh, what the? Well, I'm sorry about that. So to start off, I sent out a survey asking people, what was your experience with the bus stops right now? And these are some of the reply I've received. Take this in consideration that most replies are from high schoolers as well like college students. So they have addressed up here that it was dark, and down here is quite dirty, and also like MBTA being LA, but it's not related, but still. And at the bottom, they're very expressive on how they felt. Like I understand that, very crowded. All right. And I also asked them, hey, out of these 4 pictures, which one do you like the most or would love to see within your community? And they have chosen option number 2. The reason why they picked it is because right here, they provide covers, seating, standing rooms, and a wheelchair accessible space, which I took in considerations as I create my design. So before heading to my design, I want to get a little information about this. So right now, in Boston, I have emitted around 5.4 million metric tons of greenhouses. That's 11 billion almost, no, billions pounds from energy use in buildings and transportations. And I want to take that into considerations because I will be incorporating microalgae into my bus stops. So microalgae practically absorb sunlight and carbon dioxide to produce oxygens. So it's practically acts as a filtration system. So why microalgae? It's because it requires less space than trees, work 400 times greater, and also sustainable and low maintenance. This is my design process. At first, I just had an idea that I want to do something with microalgae because it's innovative, it's new, and I want it to be something that kind of bring awareness into the global warming issues that's happening right now. And then I also saw that bus stops have been very overlooked. And this is my design, the bus stop. I know it looks quite unappealing right now, but I'll get more into it. This is the floor plan of what you can expect. There's table, accessible space, foldable bench, and there's also microalgae tanks on both sides with dimensions being laid. There's also interactive screens as well. So how does microalgae works, or how does that system works that I'm proposing? But right now, because of it being so new in the marketplace, there's no really like proper blueprint that's being put out. But a general idea is that first, at the top, there's oxygen delivery system where like after taking in the carbon dioxide, oxygen will be released up there. There's also lighting system. In the middle is a microalgae cultivation system where it will contain a microalgae. And at the bottom is where CO2 would get into it and get filtered. So this is the detail of what the side of the bus stop would look like. I'll give you a second to look. And on this side, it works kind of the same as the other one on the other side. And this is an exploded axon of how the roof might be supported by the pillars. Now, this is my bus stop. So as you can see, a quick note is that there's a lotus on the side. I want to emphasize the Dorchester communities. And there's the HVAC system that can work in the summertime and also wintertime, providing heat and cold air for the active riders. There's lighting that would provide safety at night so that people can see it and feel safe within the bus stops. There's like transit arrival screens and interactive screen that would like tell the riders like, hey, what is this structure, or like, when is this bus coming? There's an outlet that people can charge their phones or like whatever devices they have. There is a accessible space and a small surface for bags and plus other items in the corner. And on the side, there's a rain chain that would allow rooftop water flow downward and be filtered down. And there will be posters on the side where it can be job poster, local restaurant advertisement, or art from local artists. And I want to make an emphasis that I want this to be like locally within Dorchester. So it must come from local, which will enrich the local economic prosperity. So for the material, strip wood, limestone, hard plastic, concrete, and dark gray polish. Concrete, sorry, rush time. And for the transit screen, I would, sneak peek. And for the transit screen, I would like to use this type of transit screen because it's very like easy to use, and it's also have multiple options on the screen which rider could use while waiting for the bus. And this is what my design would look like in real life and how it would interact with the space. That's my money shot. Conclusions. So the bus stop solves three main problems: comfort by providing these listed items, safety by providing lights and a closed space, and bring more awareness toward the global warming crisis because it contains microalgae and also the interactive screen, like explaining how does it work and why is that structure being like there. So bus stop can be more than just a glass or metal box with seats and advertisement. And the BioSoft purpose is to bring a higher standards for bus stops because it's a place that's being used every day by vast ethnic groups. And it's important to say that like, I don't want my design to be like, hey, I want this to be everywhere. No, like I just want to bring the fact that bus stop can be more than it's being right now. Thank you. Questions, concerns, comments? No.
Hi, I just have some really uh, comments really about your presentation. You've done such a good job of incorporating your slight humor. Like even in previous presentations, I really enjoyed just sitting through through like the little jokes you make to keep people engaged, but also how clearly you express the issues that you're addressing and how you kind of close them out really well in the end. Another thing is that one of the most powerful statements, which I really agree with, which I like really resonate with, is saying that our everyday spaces should be much more elevated because it just happens like everywhere. And I wanted to I wanted to direct you to an architect who's very much also of that same mindset, and that's Tatiana Bilbao. I can write down her name for you and let you know, and I'll give it to you. But one of the most powerful things she said in a speech recently that she did is that living happens everywhere. And the way that she communicates her spaces is very in tune with that and really responding to the everyday moments of life. So I would really love for you to check out her work and see how she also expresses those moments, because I think um, I see that within your project as well, and how you're incorporating moments of daily life, like even smaller things, like incorporating something just to keep small things in your bag, or how a lot of us are so connected to our phones, we think of charging them everywhere. But yeah, great job on presenting, and a really beautiful project.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? I would love some questions.
First of all, congratulations, Tao.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I feel very lucky to have seen the evolution of your project. I feel like every time I met you here, you were facing a completely different issue. And so it was like, okay, let's adapt to Tao. What are we working with? Whether it was from like, roof element to working on Photoshop. It's just awesome. But now I see it all come together like a puzzle. So it's really awesome. Could you just share what was the most challenging part about this project? Because this was so different for me. I learned a lot from you and just your studies and your research because it's very scientific as well as, design based. So what was the most challenging part?
The most challenging part for me in designing this is like, I kept wanting to add more stuff into this, and I found that like, I know it's like quite a bad thing. And then like at the end, I looked at my design and I was like, I took a moment to realize like, what am I building? What is my main goal in expressing like with this design? And then I realized that I want to focus on the microalgae and the awareness as well. So rather than adding like tons and tons of amenities, I just focus on the one that would be necessary or like need by others. And I try to add a bike racks, but probably not. So yeah.
Thanks. I'm a little bit hidden here, but a great presentation. Thank you so much. So I'm completely obsessed with this algae, to be honest. I'm just wondering what happens with this biomass. Do you have some vision for what happens to the biomass that they create?
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
Oh, these algae, well, they create biomass, right? They absorb the CO2 and they emit oxygen. What happens with that biomass?
With that biomass, like I've thought that it could be used to like there's apparently you can make like oil out of it or like other stuff. So I thought I could sell those things once it's harvested, so I could like pay back the cost of this. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Great project. You said that it was, you intend for this to be locally controlled
Yes.
versus, a private enterprise. How do you imagine, one, I don't know where bioalgae comes from, but very interesting idea. But how do you clean it? Like, how does it get in there and then get out? Is that like is there do you imagine a community taking care of it and or would there be someone who's separate hired to manage it? I was just trying to understand how does it work, like practically? Because it wouldn't be controlled by the city or the state or anything. It would be locally controlled.
So I guess in some way it's either having volunteers to clean it or have this like I guess job offers for like people in the community or offer like amount of money or credit like gift cards for them like, hey, wanna clean this? You can get this in return. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Elfe. I've named my site the Rozzy Lounge. Oop. Before we get into the presentation, I want to introduce myself. I'm a senior at the O'Brien, and I'm going to go to Syracuse University in the fall for architecture. I first became interested in architecture when I was in 4th grade. I had to design a classroom. So a little bit about Rosendale. Rosendale was first part of Boston in 1873, and yeah. So Rosendale is 94% white, 24% Hispanic, and 21 Black, and 2% Asian. So today I want to focus on the ages and percent living under poverty. So the majority of people are under the ages of, or in the age range of 35 to 42. So they really are starting families and like trying to like settle down with their lives. And 41% are in under the poverty line. So I just wanted to like focus on like what their day-to-day lives are and if they have somewhere safe to be. That take me into my site analysis. This is my land use diagram. And yellow is my residential. So there's a lot of residents. And orange is my site. And pink in the upper corner is the rail line. And in green are parks, and blue is schools and public buildings. This is my site location. As you can see, it's unutilized and is really run down. This is my sun path. My site is in blue and the buildings surround are in pink. There's also a park in green. At 12:30 p.m., the site gets little light because it's being covered by the surrounding buildings, and at 2:30 p.m., it has the most direct sunlight. So my main issue with the site is it's usually largely unutilized and has no natural lighting, with a lack of regard for pedestrian safety, and is really just uncomfortable to be in. So my goal is to create a community space that is relaxing and creates a home, or like a home outside of a home, basically, and can be rented, and it could be used for the winter's farmers market, and that will have a green roof that supports the biodiversity of Rosendale. This is my first sketch. So I wanted to have like raised crosswalks, outdoor space, and green roofs, playing around with the levels of the building, playing with one, and then this one's two. This is my first iteration, so I really wanted like outdoor seating, a lot of natural light, and also having 2 floors. So my next step was taking it to the community to ask for their input. A lot of people were shoppers and people that just passed by, and as well as management team for the farmers market. So I sent out 2 images. This is one. This is for more like the weekdays where there's just like cafes. The positive, it said it looked like a inviting and peaceful space to build community and just hang out. For the negative, it said it looked too dark. For my second one, it was more like a farmer's market image. The positive, it said it was a true market feel with a kind of flexibility and attract different kinds of vendors. For my negative, for that space, it had no soul and it was too industrial. Taking that feedback, I was able to make this building. So it has glass entrance to let in night light from the south, and it has a green roof with skylights to amplify the light, and also has a side entrance to make the building more breezy and like not too cramped. There's also glass paneling, just again for that natural light, and there's the back entrance. The roof has drainage. Okay. This is my video of the farmers market. This is like on a Saturday winter day. The space can hold around 12 vendors with different kinds of goods. Yeah. In the back is an elevator, as well as a ramp, and also a storage area in the bottom right there, and also stairs. This is the upper floors. This is just like a place for people to hang out while the farmers market is happening, so they have somewhere to just like take a breath. And in the back is an office for the person who works there and organizes the events that happen in the space during the week. This is during the week without the farmers market. So again, it's just a place for people to come during the week to do homework or like work. So it's just like another home for people. It's 100% free to be in. There's a kitchen in the back for cooking lessons or people to just cook and then like have people taste their food, and also a bookshelf where people can leave books and take books, and just gonna like it helps with just like education systems, and yeah. Moving on to my materials. So I wanted to focus on the exterior and the exterior spaces. So my siding is made out of brick that was in the original building, with surrounded by glass, just for like for the natural light. The side door will be supported by steel. The entrance will also be made of glass and have brick to hold out the exterior wall. And these are the plants I'm going to be using in my green roof. Moving into the interior space, we have tables, lounge space, and upper floors. My table is made of wood that will have storage on the side and will be 27 inches from the ground to make it more accessible. The lounge space is concrete flooring with brick interior walls and plants and natural light. The upper floors is basically the same, but it has a green wall. Yeah. Moving into the details, this is just a quick sketch of the materials that would be used, like glass, grass, drainage system, and I also have a railing and the dotted line for maintenance and safety. This is my side door. So basically it's just gonna be like a remote system, so no one will be physically moving this. It's gonna be just a way to make the site more breezy and more comfortable to be in. In conclusion, my design is to create a space for an events and farmers markets with a green roof to support Rosendale in both the biodiversity of Rosendale Village. And my future goals is to create a plan for people to access the roof for maintenance and develop a draining system for the roof. Thank you. Questions?
Hi, really beautiful design. I really like that you've incorporated so much um, flora, as in plant life, into the design scape. I did have a question about the facility itself. I noticed that you don't have restrooms. Was that a conscious decision?
They're there actually. So in the back, when you go to the elevator, it's like right across from there. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it could be used. It could be used for basically anything. It's just like an empty vessel for the community to use in any way they want. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bashak Alkan. I'm an urban designer and a Rosendale resident, and I pass by the store all the time. First of all, I wanted to compliment you on your presentation. What I do love about your scheme is the creative deconstruction of the brick facade, and especially allowing light along the alleyway that is next to it, because that will allow people to have views into the space, views out of the space. The only, I think, question I would have for you is one of the existing community spaces in this area is the bus stop in front of this vacant store. People currently don't have a shelter, and they do actually take shelter in the kind of little nook that leads to the current entrance. I was wondering if you had any ideas in your exploration of how perhaps a bus stop structure or some kind of a rest area could be could be integrated into your design. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. I was like playing around having like the entrance space be a little arching over the sidewalk, but then I thought of like it would be taking up too much space for people to just pass by. But in the future, I would like to help with the shading structure that could be a bus stop.
Thank you so much for your amazing presentation. It was so amazing to see your project grow. It's so ambitious. You did so much, and I'm super, super impressed. I really loved the 2 videos. You did so much in the final week as well, because those videos weren't done a week ago, I think. And they're amazing. And I love how you explore like the 2 very different uses that are both so important to how people are going to experience the building. One question I had was, were you able to show this like final design or maybe even a video to your mom or other people who have experience being a vendor? And I'm just so excited to hear what they think of it.
Yeah, my mom's actually sitting behind you. Yeah. 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 You want to go?
It looks great. It's amazing. It's
As a vendor?
as a vendor, I would love to be in that space. Yes.
I'm also a Roslindale resident, and so I was super excited when Alfei proposed this because there are a couple of vacant storefronts in Roslindale Square, and there is definitely a need. Like, I mean, we were discussing how there's actually an event space called the Substation that has opened recently, but it's not very accessible to people. Like, you can't just go in or feel you can go in and hang out because it is a rentable space. So I thought that this was a great place aside from the library where it's a lot more quiet to go and to be without having to feel pressured to be doing a specific activity. You know, you could just go be there with your kids, you can go study, you can do. So I really appreciated your attention to like all the programming that could happen there, but also when it came to the external appearance of the building, I was like trying to keep that integrity of our neighborhood, making sure that it wasn't too overly modern, but that it was very balanced so that it wouldn't take away also from the surrounding area. Thank you, Alfie. You did wonderful. Our last presentation of the day.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the past few months, I've been working on interconnecting Malta Station, the station I used to get here today. And so a little about me is that I'm an avid doodler. I bring my sketchbook everywhere, and I'm a senior at Malden High School who's planning to go to college for architecture and engineering. And so for those of you that don't know where Malden is, currently like we're right there, and Malden Station is through the Orange Line, the northern way, all the way near Oak Grove. So if you've ever been there, you sort of know that it's just a bunch of concrete. So this is Malden Center Station. As you see, the buses are mainly out of service half the time. And this is also like the parking lot. I wouldn't be able to find my car if I did drive, but you know. So a little about the site analysis is like mainly on the west side, it's mainly residential, and on the east side, there's a large concentration of retail stores. And so this is sort of like the center or hub of Malden Station, or of Malden. And so in addition to the Orange Line, there's also the commuter rail, which makes this like a very densely packed commuter destination for those taking the commuter rail to other places. And also Malden is very walkable. People walk here like to everywhere, their homes, their house. And this is also my connection to work, friends, and family. And so here's just the climate and solar path. Similar to Boston, it has like the crazy hot summers and the very cold winters with like snow. And here's sort of the angle of the sun in the summer. So basically no shade in the summer, especially like when people are using the field and practicing, it's going to be very hot and you can't find any shade, especially since it lacks a lot of structures. But here are the current amenities. So there's the parking lot, as I mentioned before, and also a bike rack, which I think is a pro. And then there's also some type of covering for people waiting for the bus, and also a courtyard that is uncovered and covered in snow. And so here's just the significance of public transport in Malden, which is 2/3 of the public do use it, especially even if they do own cars, most of them just park at Malden Station and just like go to work through Malden, the station. And this also includes a lot of like young people, like starting from the age of 6, because there is a local school that is nearby, and also a bunch of seniors. And so here's a survey that I conducted mainly on Malden residents, although there's slight bias towards youth by accident, unintentional. But they mainly claimed that restrooms were needed, food options, seating, heating, shade, and greenery. And so those are like one of all the issues that I would like to tackle. And so here's just like an interesting fact about people who have to wait for the bus, aka me. And also there's a significant chunk of people who wait more than 20 minutes for the bus. And so essentially the problem is that with such a large population like of Malden using the station, especially like many youth and elderly, the site severely lacks facilities protecting against extreme weather like the snow, and also provides little to no appeal for commuters. So basically I went through this whole process of like, oh, what type of shading should I add? Or how am I going to include greenery? Especially when it's just a block of concrete, so there's like no actual existing soil. And so I just went through like a bunch of ideas. That was kind of unrealistic here. And there's also, I just had this idea of like a large overhang, but that would sort of like block out the sun entirely. And so I narrowed it down into these smaller rest stops for people. And so this is like a sort of connection concept that I believe is important to connect the station to the parking lot, as there's a large gap. And so here's like the more direct flow, like where people are actually going to be at. And so I outlined sort of sections where people mainly concentrate due to buses, and also like where they're going, especially since there's only 2 exit entries for the station itself. And so that's where the rest stop should be, which I'll get more into later. And there's also a need for turning a 4-lane into a 3-lane, because like the distance between the parking lot and the station is like 50 feet. That's like scary to cross, especially for younger people, people who have trouble walking, and those like elderly. And so these are the current entryways. That's the official entryway, by the way, like for pedestrians. So I don't think like people jump over the fence sometimes too, especially the ones in Circle. People like will climb a hill to go down to the parking lot. And so those are the improved entryways. They'll be like widened, and also adding like another entry for the cars. And so also more greenery. There is some existing greenery, but we can never go wrong with more greenery. And so here's the proposed design, but what does it actually look like? So here's a sort of section to show like how spaced out the rest stops are, so that people have like this area to like rest if they need it, especially for like their particular bus, and not just like having to run to the bus and when it gets there. And so here's just the distance of like how far you're walking. Like the section looks small, but that's because it's so wide, so I couldn't fit it all, you know? And so here's what it could possibly look like with the rest stops. And those rest stops are designed to be high enough so that a bus couldn't like, hit it. And also the rain would fall elsewhere. And so these are just like examples of what the rest stops could look like. And these are like the more specifics of like how variated they could be with like planters and also seating. And so this is like one rest stop where it could be. This is on the farther east side. This is on the other east side as well. And this can also be for like where people are waiting for people to like pick them up through cars or buses. And there's also a significant shade for them. This is like, I think at 2 p.m. So like, this is when I would get off work, and like, I need that shade. And so here's just like the framework. It's kind of simple, but this is for like attached to the building. And this building is, I think has rotting walls, but we can fix that. So this could hold that, And it'd also be gutters. I didn't want like people like entering the spot and they'd have like a rainfall, like just like, pounding on them. And there's also heating and lighting. I know this is very vital, especially during like the dark nighttime, because the trains do run from 1 a.m. So people are still there. Sometimes me, but there's lots of heating, especially during the winter, which it's very needed. And here's just like a sort of slant to show like rain and snow wouldn't like pile on. And so essentially we'd be using recycled aluminum for the top, timber for the supports, and also concrete to like sort of have that feel of the station, but not too much. And so here's the 4-lane into 3-lane design. There's the existing road, which I'll get more into, and the proposed road. And so this is what it would look like. And this is like the existing road. So far, this is what it has. It has a two car lanes and also 2 bus lanes, which is kind of, when you're standing in the middle, like waiting for a car, you'll see like how vast of a desert you're looking at, like all around you, because it's just such a wide road. And so I don't think it's necessary. Also, we could turn it into 3 lanes by having 1 lane for parked cars or cars that are waiting for someone, an active lane for both buses and cars that are only moving, and also a lane for the buses so that they can still park, while sort of facilitating that like transition from the station to the parking lot. And there's also that soft boundary of greenery. And so it's also still a one way to like keep that flow of what it used to be, and also rest stops in between. And so this is what I imagined it to be through sketching. And in the yellow is the design and like how it could look like. And so this is what it could potentially look like for someone driving through. As you see, it's surrounded by greenery on both sides and also rest stops. So you can clearly see when someone is like waving at you to like pick me up, And then here's also from in the autumn, like the trees could also be seasonal. They would be colorful throughout the year. And sort of here's like the more defined entryway. It does not look like anything like it would when I showed you earlier. Clearly the greenery is very appealing and also adds that color. But one thing I didn't mention is that the rooftops are specifically orange because it's the orange line, not because orange is my favorite color, but it's like a very good design appeal for those who perhaps don't like understand like where the station is, and also attract people to use it more. And so essentially, in conclusion, we have like these rest stops that are going to be like shading structures and also provide comfort. We have this extra lane for people, and it could also be a flexible lane for people to like for vendors if they want to like stay on the side of the road and like capture all those like students who are coming out of work, out of like school, and like sell them some boba or something. And also these defined roadways that like indicate where people could enter, where people could exit, and so they don't have to jump over the fence anymore and hurt themselves. And so this is what it would look like on an accent view. So thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Kathleen. That was fantastic. It's been a real pleasure to work with you this semester and see your progress. You have so many great ideas, and your inspiration is just sort of unbounded. And it's just been fantastic to watch you develop these ideas into a really coherent design. And the renderings, the diagrams, the sketches and sections all came along so nicely here at the end. So really, really excellent job. She's also going to MIT, by the way, so I just want to shout out. That's pretty fantastic.
Thank you.
And one thing I've said since the very beginning is just how much I admire and love your hand sketching. And I think that's something that is just a fantastic thing to continue developing in this age of digital tools, where that can kind of, make us just want to be in the computer all the time. I think that's fantastic. And I would be curious to actually hear you reflect a little bit about how your sketching informs your design process.
Yeah, of course. Well, they gave us like a sort of sketchbook at the end of like at the beginning of the semester. And I think they gave us 100 sheets, and I think I went through almost all of it. But most of this, I took like notes on like all the presentations that they gave us. So basically that informed a lot, but the sketches were sort of like my brain dumping time. I just like, it's like a complete just brain fart, to be honest. All my ideas were there, and I would go back and I would see sort of the similarities between the concepts, like what concepts have stayed and what concepts I like sort of dropped. And those concepts stay with me the most, especially the connection idea. I think I was like I was actually drawing, I think, at a bus stop because I was like waiting for like 20 minutes. And I had this idea of like connecting all the way through. And that, like I told Caesar, I was like, my TA. And then I sort of stuck with that through. And that's like the main concept of my whole design. So, yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I think it's amazing and I'm very impressed. And as you said, you mentioned, I like that you have both hand sketches and renderings. It's nice to see them both and see how it translates from an initial idea to a final product, which is the renderings, right? I would like to mention, you can Google it. I did an externship in Ghana Fleming. They do a lot of work with the MBTA and they specialize in those type of designs, more like industrial design, the MBTA, and how to develop also housing near those places to see how we can connect the city in a better way. So yeah, I would just encourage you to Google that, and it's a nice way to learn more of how it's being done right now in the real world as well.
Yeah, that's
Congratulations, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I think working with MBTA is kind of difficult. Well, that's what they told me. So yeah, thank you. I'll look into that.
Congratulations. It's a really amazing project. And I really enjoyed all of the sketching, how much details and how you kind of develop your sketching into a final presentation. Particularly your design of the bus stop with the organic shape on the top and kind of incorporating that with the wood and timber. Very well thought, design and really concept to the final. Great job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, I just also wanted to say this was really incredible. Congratulate you and congratulate all of the participants today. Your projects were all like so really thoughtful and well researched, and your presentation skills and graphic skills were like truly top notch. And so I just continue to I want you to encourage you to continue exploring these skills and these concepts. I work at the city planning department where we work on these issues and ideas daily. And I can say that we've never been more hungry or intentional to engage with young people, to hear these perspectives and ideas, these fresh ideas. We have data now supporting that we hear from other people with other agendas. And so we're actively encouraging young people to continue exploring these concepts and engage with us and work with us. We have workshops throughout the year focused on engaging with just youth and young people and getting their ideas, as well as a high school summer internship program now. And so I'm sure some of you have heard of it. I work closely with Stephanie sharing some of this information, and always be a resource if you have questions on how to engage with these initiatives, Squares and Streets, and Boston Design, Vision and Development Review, Article 80 processes. We're always happy to help encourage you all to join those processes. And so great work, and keep up the great work as well.
Thank you to all our interns. I really just want to recognize you all for such an amazing time together working. You all have bonded so much during this experience, and I know you're going to be friends for life. Like I can already tell who's going to be friends for life, These programs are so important, and staying connected even after these programs is going to be great for you all to establish your own networks. All of us have a network, and this is your network here, including everyone around you. I also wanted to give thanks to our partners. If you are a partner with the DESI program, raise your hand this year. This includes Children's Museum. If we were on a site visit with you all, raise your hand. Nisha, all of you all. We also have the BAC NOMAS group, who is also assisting our students, providing them with some much needed technical assistance. So we wouldn't have done it without you. And I want to give a big shout out to our mentors, who took the time to really meet with our students. And, we know you are all extremely busy with your projects, but the fact that you are giving time to the next generation and really trying to do it right, maybe you didn't receive that, but you're giving it to others. That's just something so powerful that they're going to do one day as well. So really setting that example of being, mentors and bringing up the next generation. So I'm going to be calling you all up by groups because these weren't possible without a set of groups. So I'm going to call up Brianna, Alensa, and Sabrina to get recognized for their work on the reimagining the Matahut space. And if you could stay out there for just a quick minute while Jimmy takes a snapshot of you. Oh, it's okay. Here, you were all part of this, so please take a picture. Rihanna had to leave early, so we're gonna Photoshop with all these skills we've acquired. Awesome. I'll have just the TA stay close to the side over there. Next, we have Vivian, Catalina, and Cesar. Take a quick snapshot with Jimmy. This is what it looks like. It's teamwork. It's all supported. It's awesome. Next, we have Shanae. I think Shanae had to head out, but we have Caitlin and Sabrina. And next up, we have Diana, Molly, and Cesar. Great. Can we have Nelly, Ankita, and Sabrina come up here? Thank you so much. Great, thank you. We're gonna have, we don't have Lucia today, and our printer sadly was glitching this morning, so we have Tao and Janitza, so please ignore Lucia's picture for now. And then next up, we have Eva, Elfe, and Isabella. And last but not least, Isabella, stay up here. We couldn't get the other certificates for your students because of the printer. So Rayana, come on up. Rayana, Ariana, sorry. There's so many Annas. This team was really stressful when it came to the names. Amazing. And then I'll have Kelly and Scarlett. Oh, it's all right. You have to get the rest printed, so just take a group picture. And then last but not least, we have Gabe, Kathleen, and Cesar. Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. And I just want to give one final recognition to our funders. So Sasaki provides us with this amazing space and also, provides us the time to be able to do this type of work. Also, the City of Boston's OYEO, Offers of Youth Engagement and Employment and Opportunity. There's OYEA, sorry. OYEO, as well as the Metro North Workforce Board, who also help fund positions. So all the students that were here, they've been getting paid to be here and are gaining work experience for their resume and making connections, and they make it possible by being that funder that helps us champion these programs. And I'm going to hand it over to Jimmy. Thank you all so much for coming.
So yes, thank you all for being here. This was incredible. I'm doing my best to hold back the tears because I'm so proud of everything. I also want to celebrate Stephanie. Can we give Stephanie a big round of applause for putting all of this together, connecting with so many partners. Thank you to Jen, our executive director, for helping us with all the admin stuff. Also celebrating all the TAs. Alexis, our senior TA right there. And then everybody here in the audience, I also celebrate you for being here. So please, can we have a round of applause for ourselves? And then I would like to ask for some audience participation. So if you're a member of the audience, either family or a community member or a partner that was here today and listened to all the wonderful students present their projects, could you please scan this QR code and just give feedback, 3 questions about just the presentations, the projects, and your experience in our space today. We would love to have that data to continue to develop programs. All data and information is anonymous, so you don't have to worry about us having your data. We don't need it. So thank you all for being here, and then we'll take a group picture with all the students, TAs, partners, and mentors at the end of the day or at the end of this program. So thank you once again for being here, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.